As of the coming into force of the National Coffee Bill of 2018, effective 5th August 2020 of this year, all coffee farmers in Uganda that failed to take care of their coffee gardens for a space of 2 years will be held liable under the provision and penalized by having their names deregistered from the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, especially if you're a farmer, a coffee consumer, or a coffee supplier, please stick around to this YouTube channel as I'm going to debunk for you the newly enacted Uganda National Coffee Bill of 2018. You're watching the Ask Me About the Law YouTube channel, where we have free and honest conversations about the law, especially in regards to cyber and commercial transactions. And I am your host, Nagai Joanne. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The handle is at Ask Me About the Law, and also I'll also leave them linked in the description box of this video. So I have a big surprise for you guys that I would really encourage you to keep watching this video, because I'm going to state it at the end of this video, and I guarantee you it will be very essential to you, especially if you have a huge interest in someone broadcasting or advertising or encouraging and supporting your talent. So according to statistical data, coffee is the third most consumed beverage behind tea and water. I, for one, I love my tea, but a large percentage of the population in the market today is a heavy consumer of coffee. In fact, statistics show that on average, globally, a total of 400 billion cups of coffees are brewed every year alone, and a large percentage of this is done in industrious countries. Like I said, I, for one, am a tea kind of girl and a water kind of girl. So I would really like to hear from you guys that are heavy coffee consumers. Leave a comment under this video how you like your coffee, if you're a decaf kind of person, or if you like your coffee dark. In fact, it is alleged that coffee beans are the second most traded commodity in the world behind oil. However, there is a huge contentious discussion in regards to the credibility of the quantitative value of coffee beans on the market. See, some critics allege that the real market value of coffee is overestimated in order to create a myth, especially among traders on the market, to overestimate the quantitative value of coffee on the market, because, as they allege, there's a huge difference between product and commodity. What that means is coffee can be traded both as a product and as a commodity. And according to the critics, sometimes it is very hard to quantify exactly on global scale the real quantity coffee seeds produced as a commodity and as a product, their influence on the market. Interestingly, a large percentage of the coffee trade and transaction is carried out in the future rather than now. It is on that background that critics of the myth of consumption and also contribution of coffee on the market allege that the traders have created a myth in order to boost and encourage the influence of coffee on the market vis-a-vis analyzing the real quantitative value right now. 85% of Uganda's coffee is produced by one of the 1.7 million Ugandan coffee farmers, who are mainly smallhold farmers, meaning that they practice mainly a lot of mixed farming and subsistence farming. Unfortunately, this means that capacity-wise, Uganda can only produce a total of 0.6 tons of coffee per hectare, which is detrimental to Uganda's dream of producing and beating Vietnam's capacity, which produces a total of 2.2 tons of coffee beans per hectare. In 2015, the President of the Republic of Uganda issued a directive that was intended to facilitate and fast-track the continued boost of production of coffee in Uganda to an estimate of 20 million bags as of 2020. This would be facilitated by the enactment and passing of the 2020 Coffee Roadmap, which provided for specifications like: 1, improving research and facilitation of farming in Uganda, also encouraging and also boosting branding and production of coffee in Uganda, as well as also encouraging consumption of coffee in Uganda. The list is exhaustive and has 9 initiatives provided for and recommended for by a consultancy firm called McKinsey. I will leave a link in the description box of this YouTube video, which gives a detailed list of the 9 initiatives recommended by the consultancy firm. But for purposes of this video, I'm only going to list a few that are relevant to the topic of discussion. And it's in the spirit of those 9 directives and also initiatives that, in my opinion, I believe that the enactment that have led to the drafting, debating and also passing of the National Coffee Bill 2018 of Uganda. One of the objectives of the Uganda National Coffee Bill 2018 is to give mandate and authority to the Uganda Development Coffee Authority, the authority to plan, manage, regulate and influence production, distribution and farming of coffee in Uganda. This is a current development of the provisions provided for under the old law, which was the Uganda Development Coffee Authority Act, which right now, since the National Coffee Bill is enacted, is repealed. Another objective of the National Coffee Bill is to ensure that it protects farmers from coffee farmers from being exploited by suspicious characters that are middlemen, usually connected in the transaction of coffee trade in the country. However, critics of the bill have alleged that, according to data provided by the Uganda Development Coffee Authority, it alleges that 70% of the money that is transacted in the coffee trade is contributed and goes directly to the farmer, and 30% is what is taken up by any other player in the coffee value trade. So it then raises a huge discussion on how and what is the functionality of the new National Coffee Bill, if already there are benchmarks like the coffee initiatives and the coffee corporations and the coffee sectors that are circles that are tailored to protect farmers from being taken advantage of. Another initiative of the coffee bill is also to ensure that coffee farmers are guided, mentored, protected and encouraged to help the government of the Republic of Uganda to meet its objective of ensuring that it positions itself as one of the top producers of coffee beans in Uganda, considering the provisions provided for under the coffee roadmap of the Republic of Uganda. The Uganda Coffee Development Authority Act was enacted 28 years ago. So it is most promoters of the newly enacted National Coffee Bill allege that the old law does not encompass new changes in the market today that the new bill is tailored to meet. For example, situations relating to research in order to boost coffee growth and development in the sector, branding, marketing and packaging. All those provisions that will be catered for in the newly enacted coffee bill that will also help to facilitate the growth of Uganda's coffee market on the national platform. 2, it is alleged that the newly enacted national bill will also put into consideration the newly ever-changing environment in Uganda, especially in regards to climate change that has been very detrimental in the growth and improvement of coffee seeds in Uganda. In fact, it is estimated that a total of 50 to 70% of Uganda's coffee is going to be affected as a result of lack of sustainable soils that we had prior, but at this point in time, because of global warming and environmental factors, especially in regards to right now, it's estimated that temperatures in coffee growing areas are going to get higher and continue to get higher, and then the lack of proper rains to facilitate growth of the coffee seeds is going to influence the quality and also the quantity of coffee production in Uganda. This is putting into consideration that the coffee market is very stiff and rigid and very particular on the essence of quality of the coffee beans produced. So this directly influences and also is detrimental to the growth of Uganda's coffee industry, especially in regards to production output into the market. In comparison to the old law, the new national bill, which is now passing to law, is intended to regulate harvesting, storage and post-harvesting of coffee seeds in Uganda in order to ensure that the quality of the coffee beans is maintained from the moment of production to the moment of distribution, which is very critical because it affects the quality and quantity of the coffee beans produced on the market. For the essence is here that the Ugandan government is trying to protect the quantity and quality of coffee beans produced and exported to the market. The bill intends to ensure that it maintains regulation of coffee production and processing in Uganda by encouraging registration of all coffee farmers in Uganda and ensuring through registration that the produce produced by the coffee farmers is of quality and standards that will be stipulated and stated in the bill. Any farmer that fails to meet the provisions stated in the bill stands a high chance of having their name deregistered from the Uganda Development Coffee Authority Bills Registry. Clause 27 of the national bill stipulates that registration of coffee farmers in Uganda will be free of charge, and every farmer will be granted a registration number that will be used for identification. So every farmer will be registered, including information like their name, the number of trees they have, the number of farm labor force they use on the market, etc. Registration of farmers has been a very contentious matter, with some stating that the registration of farmers is going to amount to licensing of farmers in order to carry out coffee trade and coffee farming in the country. However, official communication from the Uganda Development Coffee Authority states that the two are rather distinctive features. However, if you look at the law in detail and analytically, licensing and registration seems to amount to the same thing. Although the consolation that the authorities provide is that a farmer without a license can still have and sell their coffee to any outsider. However, other players in the coffee value chain are still mandated to ensure that they have legally recognized licenses provided for by the Uganda Coffee Bill, which, for example, would include the brewers, the stores, the exporters, the suppliers, the distributors. All of them are mandated to have licenses. And according to the Uganda Coffee Bill, if they fail or violate any provisions under the law and abuse their authority, they can have their licenses revoked, suspended, or altogether cancelled. So it's only the farmers that are still a bit protected by the provisions and stipulating that registration is not necessarily licensing. So clause 26 of the bill stipulates that for any farmer to qualify to be registered under the National Coffee Bill, they have to either be carrying out farming at the time of registration or have intention to commence farming at the time of registration, and the window to commence to farm is strictly 6 months. So the farmer has to endeavor to conduct and set up their farm in a period of 6 months. If they do not set up their farm within the 6 months commencing after they have registered, they will have their license. Clause 36 of the bill also mandates that an exporter may have their license suspended, revoked, or waived if the exporter fails to meet and comply with the regulations of their license or abuses the authority provided by the law because of that license. In this particular segment, we've come to the end of the video for today, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you very much for watching the entire video. I'd like to take this opportunity to encourage you to leave a comment like this video if you really enjoyed the comment that I'm sharing, or if you have any comments, suggestions, inquiries, please leave them in the comment section, or reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm going to leave the handles under this video and the links, or you can just check us out at Ask Me About the Law. So to show our gratitude, we would also like to take this opportunity to encourage you to send us your 2-minute videos and audios, or a small statement telling us about your business so that we can advertise it on the Ask Me About the Law channels, that is podcast, YouTube, as well as also the blog. If you have any more questions to this effect, please send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The handle is at Ask Me About the Law, or you can reach out to me personally. My handle is at Nagawaivjo1. I'm going to leave the links to my social media handles in the description box of this video.
Here is Jack. Jack has been a factory worker, but due to the corona pandemic, he's been laid off. He can no longer support his family. The wife turned bitter that Jack is no longer useful. The child is also tired of the quarrels between the parents. Jack feels frustrated and he is contemplating suicide. He sees no one to talk to. He sees no guidance or reason to hope. Jack needs mental support. But Jack has not heard of United Health Initiatives program, UHIPS, a one-stop center for emotional and mental health well-being. The need for mental health doesn't mean you're insane or mad. It's stress, anxiety, depression, and a lot more. We built this platform to cater for all like Jack. You could be like Jack. We avail mental health experts, but also we're a community of supportive space and networking, all aimed at your good mental well-being during and after COVID pandemic. Join UHIPS today